Welcome to Bookish, Meet the Author. I am Ebony Haywood, and I am here today with author Chris Heller. How are you, Chris?
Doing great. I'm doing great. Excited to be here with you.
Yes, I'm so happy to have you here because you are going to talk to us about your book, Dominant Thoughts.
It is. It's a business parable. It's a short read, 118 pages, and it really takes the lessons that I've learned over my career and weaves them into this short story about a mentor and a mentee.
Well, let's get into this then. So how did you even come to write this book? Where did it start for you?
So I've had a lot of great mentors in my life, and I've been fortunate enough to have opportunities a lot of people don't. I've worked side by side with two self-made billionaires and running their companies for them. And when I was younger, I read some books that were very impactful for me, and they were these type of books, parables, the Richest Man in Babylon and The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino, and those type of books. And so I had the thought for a while. And then about a year ago, I was on a podcast, and there was another guest on the podcast, which is now my co-author on the book. And the host said, "Hey, Chris, when are you going to write a book?" I said, "I've thought about it many times, but it hasn't happened. And quite frankly, I'd have to pick the brain of someone like Greg to really learn how to do it." So 2 days later, Greg Reed called me up and said, "Hey, you mentioned you want to write a book. I have the title and I have the URL. If you have the content, I'll show you how to do it. I have all the contacts and I've done it like 40 times. So be happy to work with you." And that was all I needed was, someone there to mentor me and make this possible.
That just worked out really well.
It worked
It's
out
like
really
it
well.
was meant for you to write this book because all the doors opened at the right time. So
Yeah.
that's a wonderful story.
Yeah.
So tell us about your career.
Well, I've been in the real estate industry my whole life. I got my license while I was in college after my sophomore year, and ultimately became a real estate agent. And uh, didn't back then there wasn't any training or real guidance, but I just on sheer determination became very successful. I was rookie of the year the first year. Within several years, I was one of the top 10 agents in the US for the national company I was with. And um, and then, by 2009, I joined the largest real estate company in the world in '04. But by 2009, I was the number one agent in the world for that company. And then in 2010, they asked me to take an executive role in the company, and I did. And that became my, or really changed my leadership journey. I was the president of a worldwide division, so I was launching this company globally. And then 5 years later, I became the CEO of the company, which was Keller Williams Realty. And from there, when I finally left Keller Williams after 16 years or whatever it was, I then joined Loan Depot and became the CEO of their sister company, Mellow Home. All along, got very involved in technology, especially in the real estate space. So I'm also an advisor and on the board of several technology companies, and also an investor in several companies. So the real estate industry has been all I've done, and I've done it at all levels from an agent. And I still have a real estate team in San Diego that helps people buy and sell homes. But now I'm helping to lead a company called Ojo Labs, which is a real estate tech company.
Okay. So how has this book been received?
Um, it's been received really well. It was my first one, so I had no clue. I felt like sometimes when I remember in the past when I'd host a party, I'd have anxiety like the day of, is anyone going to show up? And when I wrote the book, it was the same type of feeling. Is anyone going to like this?
Right. Yeah.
And the good news is they are, and they do. I've had, what I didn't expect is I've had a lot of, especially in the real estate industry, a couple outside the industry, but companies buy it in bulk for their sales staff, for their people, or their teams. So that was a really cool and pleasant surprise that people are wanting to share it with the people that work for them.
And what are people going to get from your book? Like, what are they going to learn?
Yeah, I think we all get different things because we're all at different phases of our journeys and our careers. I think for the younger crowd, I say younger, people from 18 to 30, people that are just starting off and on their journey, I think they'll get a lot of valuable lessons that they don't have to learn the hard way. They can learn by my experiences and by the characters in the book and their experiences. For others, for some, it'll be great reminders of things we knew, but we haven't been focusing on. But for mostly it's about mindset and the fact that 90% of what it takes to succeed is what happens up here. How we think about things and how we react to things, and that's really the crux of the lessons that are in the book. Is how do we think in a way that gets the results that we want to get.
Mm-hmm. And I know that is super important when you're doing sales, any type of sales, your mindset, right?
It is. It's probably more important in sales and other things, but it's in relationships and
Mm-hmm.
in any interactions we have and anything we're trying to accomplish, right? If we're of a growth mindset and we're trying to grow and learn all the time, then our mindset plays a big role in how effective we are at that or not.
Yeah. Did you notice, Chris, that in your industry that there was this like disconnect between people's mindsets and the results they were getting? And did that in any way like influence you wanting to write this?
Ebony, that's a really good question. Yes, is the answer. I early on, I learned by observing. So I would be around other agents. I'd watch what they would do. I watch how they react. I watch how they think, and for the most part, I just followed the 180-degree rule. I just did the opposite, and
Mhm.
because I knew that the masses weren't achieving great success, and so I didn't want to do what they were doing. I wanted to do something else. But I would see I'll give you an example. I'll give this is a real estate example, but it could be in any industry. An agent has something bad happen, right? They're helping you buy a home, and at the last minute, the seller changes their mind, and now you can't buy the home you fell in love with, or the buyer had financing issues and the deal falls apart. And I'd see agents have those type of things happen, and then they'd be ruined. They'd be ruined for days or weeks,
Mhm.
and it would just take them completely out of the game. And then they couldn't serve their other clients properly, or they couldn't provide for their families the way they should, or they couldn't achieve their goals. So I would see how their minds would really sabotage their efforts. And so I worked really hard to develop a strong mindset to not have that happen. Not that I'm not human or those things didn't bother me, but I limited the amount of time, literally limited the amount of time something would bother me, and then said, okay, moving on. And one of the concepts we talk about in the book is not being attached to the outcomes.
Mhm.
uh,
Mhm.
Developing a mindset of being committed but not attached, and that allows someone to operate more powerfully, to stay in your power, keep your power, not give it away, and not get emotionally impacted by the things that happen, because we all have things happen. We all have challenges and bad things and tragic things and all those things, but it's how we react to it that determines how we deal with it.
I think I first learned that concept of not attaching to outcomes from Wayne Dyer. Like when I was in my 20s, I was really into Wayne Dyer. And when I first heard that, I thought, oh my gosh, that's kind of genius. Like to have a goal or a desire, and so you start working toward it, but don't be so attached to a specific outcome because something even better can come of it. And even if it doesn't work out the way you want it to, that can be a stepping stone for something different.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah. It's funny you mentioned that. I probably heard that from him also, because I was and am a big Wayne Dyer fan. In fact, when he was before he passed, I got to see him. Went to a couple of his retreats,
Mm,
and early on, I read many of his books. So
yeah,
yeah.
that's funny. Chris, where can we find more about your book?
Well, the easiest place to learn more about it is the website dominantthoughts.com, and and the book is available on Amazon in every format, hardback, paperback, Audible, and Kindle. So I am Amazon or dominantthoughts.com is where you'll find it.
Thank you so much for enlightening us on our mindsets, on sharing about your book, because this is something, as you said, it's not just specific to the real estate industry or sales. I mean, this is something that anyone in any industry, even if you're a house dad or house mom, is that how you say it? House dad, whatever. Your mindset is super important in any aspect of your life. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
And thank you for joining us for this episode of Bookish, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.